Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John North. John Becker is away. There's a big election coming November 5. You know about that one. It's the presidential election, but also November 5, if you live in the city of Knoxville, there is a decision you need to make that's going to affect how you choose city council members, at least several of them. We're going to talk about that this morning, and let me introduce the two men who are here to have differing perspectives about that. We've got to my far left, City Councilman Andrew Roberto, who has one sort of idea about how things might be done. And to his right is Hancen. You may recognize him formerly with our local Realtors Association as a government affairs director, and he may have another perspective. And then we also have some panelists who will be asking questions this morning. Again, to my far right is Don Bosch. He's a Democrat and
good morning.
Lawyer. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good for the moment.
All right, good. And then to Don's left is Eddie Smith, a Republican who also is Director of Organizational Advancement for Child Help.
Good morning. And let me just say, it's the first time anybody's ever said I'm to the left of Don Bosch.
Yes, that's right.
There's always hope, Eddie.
Only for this morning and only for this special seating arrangement. All right, gentlemen, so what we want to talk about is something that we can all give thanks to the state legislature for. They decided they did not like the way the city of Knoxville was choosing some district council members in terms of the general election. It's a little complicated. As you know, Knoxville has always been a little bit wonky in the way it does things, but for decades, if you were a council candidate, there was a primary and then you advanced to the general, and in district races, and we have 6 council districts. When it came to the general election, it wasn't just the people who lived in your district who voted for you, but it was everybody across the city. That's now out the window. And in an effort to sort of give back perhaps some choice citywide, we now have a measure that's coming before city voters, and it's a charter change. Andrew Roberto, we'll start with you. You've attempted to kind of preserve the old way of doing things. Explain a little bit about how this would work and why you think this is the best idea, and then Hancen Sale will respond.
Absolutely, and thanks, John, for having me
yes, sir.
This morning as well. So simply put, what this does is it restores the right of every voter in the city of Knoxville to get to vote for all 9 members of city council. Just like you said, the state law change means that because of that, every voter will only get to vote for 4 members of council, not the 9 they're used to. And, you know, Knoxville's had a relatively unique election system over the last more than 50 years. And that system has really produced an accountable and responsive city council, and we now get to enjoy the most diverse city council we've ever had. And so I think that's worth preserving, and that's why I'm really glad that my city council colleagues and I put it on the ballot for November.
And you're going to preserve it in such a way, it's called regions. You have to be, if you're a candidate, from that region, but come general election time, everybody again would vote for you in your region.
Well, the city has always had the general election decided for all district races in an at-large election. So that's preserved. That's how you vote for all 9. But we wanted to make sure we spread out the district representatives like they are now around the city. So you don't bunch them all up in one area. So that's where the regions come in. And they're the same footprints as the districts everyone's used to. So you have to live in that region, and then you're going to run citywide.
Hancen, you and some others don't like that idea, perhaps prefer maybe to go with what's going to go in place otherwise. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Explain why you have that position, and then we'll get questions from the panelists.
Well, yeah, John, you know, I think fundamentally what's happening here is we're losing district representation if this is passed. Ultimately, it's fundamentally a rejection of district representation because, you know, there may still be a residency requirement. You have to live there, but I could run for District 4 and be elected to represent District 4 without receiving a single vote from a resident within in District 4.
In the general election. Well, not in the primary.
In the primary, because there will actually, even in the primary, they have to run citywide.
Well, in the primary, you run within the district.
Well,
not under
the new plan.
Under the new plan, it's citywide. It's not just a district.
The quiet part that Hancen didn't say was that his plan reduces you down to 4 votes when you used to do
And in
9.
fairness, I want to let Hancen finish.
Yeah, and I want to say, I think we need to talk about, I'm not a huge proponent of the system we have right now. It's an outlier, it's confusing. The only reason we can do it is because the state gave us an exemption a long time ago. And so I think a model where district voters elect district representatives in addition to having at-large seats. It's a balance. It's a system where we're prioritizing the needs of district residents, and that's counterbalanced by having at-large representatives who are elected citywide. And so I think, the idea that is somehow a problematic system is just, it doesn't make sense to me, given that very model is employed in major cities in the state of Tennessee, in the United States, and really across the globe. That's a proven model, and what we're doing here is moving to an all-at-large model that we once had in 1960, and within 10 years, our council unanimously agreed this isn't working, the representation is not working properly, and so I think we already have done this, and I think we're casting ourselves in a lot of ways back to a model that we've already denounced and that city voters denounced with an overwhelming majority in 1968. So I just don't think that this is a system that really is going to reflect. It's a winner-take-all system that will stifle ideological diversity and ultimately lead to a supermajority on city council, ideologically speaking.
We're going to come back with some more discussion about this. You guys can jump in more, but it is time for a break. You're watching Inside Tennessee, and we hope you'll come back.